Hey guys, how is it going? Mario here. Fulham 2, Chelsea 3. The first Premier League London derby for Chelsea is a dub, and as I said in the preview, the 3 points is all that matters. Now, was the game entertaining? You bet it was. Could have the result been different? It very well could have been a different result. Did we get the 3 points? We did. So, at the end of the day, this is all that matters for me. It's the first round of games. There is still a lot of games to come, a long season to play, and a lot of our rivals didn't manage to get 3 points. So you could say that we're one step ahead of them already. So it's a good start. In this video, I'll review the game. I'll take a look at the starting 11 that we had for the game. We'll also analyze why certain players missed out on the starting 11 and I'll give you my top 3 Chelsea performers. Now, if we take a look at the starting 11 that Xabi Alonso chose for the game, we can see that once again he used the 3-4-3 formation. We've had relative success with it in the preseason games, so I expect this to continue. In goal, we saw Rob Sanchez, and in front of him, it was a back three of Josh Achampong, Maxence Lacroix, and Levi Colwill. Now, it was Achampong who came in for Wesley Fofana, who was suspended, of course. In front of them, as wingbacks, we saw Malo Gusto and Joel Hato. Now, Malo Gusto played there for 30 minutes in our last friendly, I believe. But as for Joel Hato, he hasn't played any minutes as the left wing back, so this was a first. Now, he performed to an okay standard, but it was nothing to write home about. The reason for these two players starting the game, I believe, is that Palestra, first of all, was injured. Pep Chavaria hasn't had the time yet to build his match fitness up and to bet with the team. And Pedro Neto was on the bench, which I thought was interesting. Maybe Gusto performed well in training, so he earned his start. Or perhaps the transfer rumors that are still swirling around Pedro Neto have forced Alonso basically in just benching him for now. But we'll see how things go. We'll need to stay, we'll need to go. At the moment, we just don't know. Now, in midfield, it was Reece James and Romelu Lavia to start the game. It's an interesting choice. Now, Caicedo was injured, and Alonso was asked about Caicedo and Palestra, and he said it's nothing serious for both of them. So, fingers crossed we'll have them back soon. Hopefully, for the Brighton game. Maybe they'll be ready for the Luton game. I'm not sure, but it would be nice if we had them available for Brighton. But, anyways, let's go back to the midfielders. Now, both Reece James and Romelu Lavia have played plenty of games in midfield, but I guess the big question mark remains Enzo Fernandez. In my preview, I said I expect him to start, especially now that we know Caicedo was injured. It just made even more sense to have Enzo in the midfield for his experience, for his leadership qualities. But I guess this just shows that Alonso will not be using a player that still has his future up in the air and it's not fully committed to Chelsea. Now, I expect if Enzo stays and commits his future to Chelsea, that Alonso will be using him more. But at the moment, we're just not seeing that. So, yeah, it was James and Lavia in midfield. Up front, we saw Palmer, Morgan Rogers, and Joao Pedro. Nothing new, nothing interesting, as expected, basically. Now, if we continue with the match review itself, I have several points that I've put forward here. Overall, the game started off pretty fast, and just 30 seconds into the game, we saw Joao Pedro open the scoring. It all came about after a long clearance by a Fulham defender was brought down by Maxence Lacroix. Cole Palmer latched onto the ball and then he assisted Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro was one on one with the keeper, and we all know how the story ends. Now, all of this fits into the Joao Pedro narrative and the Joao Pedro storyline of him being left out by Ancelotti for the Brazil national team and him itching to start off and prove everybody wrong. So he was on fire yesterday again. It would be interesting to see how his season goes. After that, just 5 minutes into the game, we saw a long ball by Fulham again. It was aimed at Josh King, and Levi Colwill got to the ball first, but he had some troubles controlling it. So he produced a last man tackle. Basically, he fouled Josh King, and it could have very easily been a red card. Now, I'm not saying it should have been a red card, but let's be honest. Would you be surprised if it was a red card? I wouldn't. We've seen those given. I think he was saved because we had some defenders that were going back and that could have maybe covered. But overall, I think Koval was lucky not to have a red card there. And I don't know. I'm just scarred by last season and us getting like 15 red cards or something. So yeah. But yeah, overall, I thought we got away with murder there a bit. Now, not much after that, maybe around the 20th minute, we saw Fulham level the score. It was a nice shot by Josh King again. It was a nice shot, but it was very close to the keeper. It was near post effort. So it's basically should have been a save by Rob Sanchez. Matter of fact, on X, I saw by expected goals a tweet that this is a shot that is supposed to be saved 97% of the time. And yeah, we conceded. So that wasn't optimal, but even before the goal came about, there was a back pass from the right side of the pitch for Rob Sanchez, and he failed to control it. I'm sure you remember it. Basically, the ball went out of play, and when the camera showed his face, I could just see how nervous he is. He didn't look confident, and we know that with Sanchez, everything is up here, and if he is not feeling well in the mindset department, he'll not have a good game. So it was one of those Rob Sanchez games. Hopefully it's a one-off, and hopefully he goes back to him being a beast last season. Now against Luton, I expect to see Penderson go, and if he impresses, I expect him to maybe challenge for the first first team spot. Now, I'm not saying that Rob Sanchez should be dropped after one game, but I'm just saying at this moment we have the options, so we need to think about all of our options. Anyways, around the 40th minute mark, we saw the results go back into Chelsea's favor. It was Morgan Rogers getting a goal on his debut. I thought the play for the goal was quite interesting as it was assisted by Maxence Lacroix, and it really shows something new that we haven't seen in the recent past. Basically, while using a 3-4-3 formation and having three central defenders, while we're attacking, one of them always has the option to go forward. And in this case, it was Maxence Lacroix who was bombing up the field. The Fulham players were a bit confused as to what to do with him, and he ended up in this sort of right-sided 10, right-sided winger, right-sided forward, whatever you want to say. Basically, he ended up in their penalty box. The players didn't know what to do. He squared the ball backwards to Morgan Rogers, who just found an empty net in front of him, and the result was 2-1 to Chelsea. Now, overall, the first half finished in, I would say, both sides having a lot of opportunities. They were really pressing really well. Chelsea were destroying Fulham, but I'm not gonna pretend that Fulham's press could not be seen. It was also effective. We were also struggling. So I would say both teams were good going forward and shaky going backwards. Now, I expect Alonso to work on our defensive frailties and hopefully will improve with time. But overall, it was a really shaky performance in defense again. For the second half, we've been seeing a tendency in recent games that Chelsea come out of the gates swinging, and we also saw that in this game. Just 5 minutes into the second half, it was Cole Palmer that got his goal, which capped an overall really good, really positive performance. It was João Pedro that assisted the goal, so basically the opposite of our first goal of the game. And not not longer after that, I think it was maybe 6 minutes after that, Fulham got another goal. The new signing Gonzalo Garcia pounced on a loose ball, which was firstly a shot that was saved by Rob Sanchez, but he couldn't really clear it in a safe area. So basically, he punched it into a dangerous one, and Garcia pounced on it. So the result was 2-3 for Chelsea, but after that the game slowed down a bit. Maybe the players just got tired. It's over after all the first game of the season, so it's expected to have some players not being in an optimal physical condition. Now, we also started seeing some changes made, so that could also be another factor why the game slowed down. For Chelsea, we saw Enzo and Pep Chavaria come in for Romeo Lavia, who was booked, and Jorel Hato. 10 minutes after that, we also saw Pedro Neto come in for Malo Gusto, and the final two changes were Esteban Willian and Giovanni Quenda for Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers. Now, the game finished, I would say Fulham didn't create much in the second half. Maybe they got tired. They were making some questionable decisions in attack. Overall, a nice win for Chelsea, but let's continue with the video and go into my top 3 performers for the game. This is something that we do after every game in the match review. It's where I choose which 3 players I thought did the best for Chelsea. And let's continue with the player that I have put in the number 3 position. It's Morgan Rogers. He got a goal on his debut. Now, his overall attacking play was nice. He struggled a little bit to help out with the defensive side of the game, but I thought his combinations that he was making with Cole Palmer and João Pedro were nice. Also, I believe he combined a fair few times with Jorel Hato. So overall, I would say he had a solid debut. He got his goal. Not much more you can ask for. In the second position, I've put João Pedro, and that was a very impressive game once again from João Pedro. He got a goal, he got an assist. He also had another goal ruled out because of an offside from Giovanni Quenda, but it could have easily been 2 goals and an assist on another day. And at this moment, João Pedro is just unplayable, so good luck to whoever has to defend against him. I don't envy you, but yeah, once again, Joao Pedro was a beast. As for the number 1 position, I've chosen a player that reminded us of how good he can be, and of course, it was Cole Palmer. Now, I really liked when he scored. We saw Reece James, João Pedro all doing the coach celebration. You could also see Morgan Rogers in the back. He he also did the coach celebration for his goal, so hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more of that. And I just thought Palmer played a really fascinating game. He got a goal. He assisted the first goal of João Pedro, of course, as well. But overall, he had plenty of other opportunities. There was some attacks that he could have combined, but he chose to be selfish. But I don't blame him. There were also some shots that were really close to going in, and overall, I thought Palmer was just absolutely everywhere. So he grabs my number 1 position for the game. Now, guys, if you managed to get this far into the video, please give it a like, subscribe if you're new around here. Chelsea do face off against Luton in 2 days' time, so I'll be making a preview for the game, of course. Please remember to keep the blue flag flying high, and I'll see you in the next video.